Welcome to this week's KBJ Weekly Pan-African News Roundup. Here, we serve you with all the major news headlines from across Africa and the African diaspora. In the headlines, mixed reactions from across Africa and the African diaspora to the news of the death of Queen Elizabeth II. African leaders gather in Rotterdam for the African Adaptation Summit 2022. Zimbabwean novelist Novalet Bulawayo nominated for the Booker Prize. Leaders of African countries and the diaspora, such as the Caribbeans, have expressed their condolence to the British royal family as the announcement of the passing of the Queen Elizabeth II was made last Thursday evening. President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, described the late Queen as the rock that kept the Commonwealth steady and true to its positive beliefs. Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa said she was an extraordinary and world-renowned public figure who lived a remarkable life. The news of her passing, however, was met with mixed reactions from these parts of the world owing to the not-so-pleasant colonial past that still haunts the relationship between the British Crown and Africa and the African diaspora. In Jamaica, the Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced that the national flag would be flown at half-mast on all public buildings for approximately 12 days as a tribute following the passing of the British Queen, who was also the head of state to the Commonwealth nation. Further east, in Barbados, which left the Commonwealth realm in November, there was acknowledgement for the Queen's legacy, which includes the monarchy's brutal colonial past. The death of the Queen comes at a time when calls to cut ties with the monarchy are growing across the Caribbean. According to the Commonwealth nations, the role of the Governor-General in countries who are still part of the realm, our de facto head of state, carries out the ceremonial day-to-day duties on behalf of the monarch. Out of 13 countries in the Caribbean, 7 are still part of the Commonwealth realm, namely Antigua and Barbuda, Bahamas, Grenada, Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. And 6 of them have already expressed desire to choose their own head of state. A new mobile phone designed and assembled in Côte d'Ivoire is helping illiterate users to overcome difficulties. Thanks to a voice control system, users can now access information in 50 African languages. It is possible to easily be adapted to us. Quote, "It's a phone that can easily be adapted for us. It is a phone which will be of great help to one of my parents who cannot read." Unquote. It is now possible for parents to have a letter in front of him or her and take a picture of it and have it and read it at the back in his native language. Official numbers suggest that in Ivory Coast, 40% of people are illiterate. For the older generation, the new voice-activated assistant is a powerful tool. The smartphone uses an operating system unique to the Circle company and covers 17 languages spoken in Ivory Coast. The founder of the company behind the new phone claims this is a response to the frustration illiterate users feel with technology currently on offer. The company hopes to incorporate 1,000 African languages and reach almost 1 billion people in the future. In exchange for government tax breaks, Circle is to pay 3.5% of its income to the state and train around 1,200 young people each year. The Constitutional Court of Angola validated the results of the general elections, thus confirming the MPLA's victory. In the ruling that responded that the appeal filed by the UNITA, it said that the evidence presented does not allow to put in question the advantage of the Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola (MPLA) declared by the National Electoral Commission. President-elect João Lourenço will then take office on September 15th as announced by the presidency. The leader of the largest opposition party, Alberto Costa Jr., disputes the results, which leave him with about 7% short of the votes allocated to Lorenzo, which stand at over 51% and give UNITA 90 MPs, double of the seats they won in 2017. MPLA is credited with 124 parliamentary seats. 5 opposition parties, including UNITA, said in a statement on Thursday that they were considering organizing peaceful demonstrations to contest the election results. They also said they reserve the right to bring a dispute before other bodies. 47-year-old Kwesi Kwarteng is taking over as head of the British Treasury with the onerous task of trying to pull out the UK out of a serious cost of living crisis without plunging the public finances into the abyss. Quote, "There's a lot of pressure on Kwesi Kwarteng," unquote, as the political longevity of Prime Minister Liz Truss will be intermittently tied to her performance, says Tony Travers, a professor at the London School of Economics. The enthusiastic Brexit supporter and early backer of Ms. Truss, whom is a long-time friend and neighbour in Greenwich, southeast London, is the country's first black chancellor of the Exchequer. He takes over from Nadeem Zahawi, an Iraqi-born Kurd, who himself succeeded Rishi Sunak, of Indian origin, and Sajid Javid, with Pakistani roots, embodying a more inclusive face to the Conservative Party. The son of Ghanaian immigrants who came to the UK in the 1960s, the former Minister for Enterprise, Industry and Energy is also a true liberal, an advocate for low taxes and a free market economy. Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has stressed the importance of the free flow of trade in Africa to help achieve the goals of global climate change. Quote, "You cannot really talk about adaptation without considering that you need a free flow of trade, because you might have the finances, but if trade policies are not right, those who need new technologies for adaptation, if there is no free flow of goods and ideas, may not be able to use the money to get it," unquote, said Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Several African leaders have criticized the lack of Western counterparts in the meeting in Rotterdam, where they pleaded for funds to help their countries adapt to global warming. Quote, "The role of the WTO is to make sure that once countries have this financing, they are not blocked by adverse trade policies that will keep them from having access to the goods and services they need to adapt." The summit, the first to focus on helping Africa adapt to the fallout from climate change, brings together the African Union, the International Monetary Fund, and the Netherlands-based Global Center on Adaptation. France's Tiafoe stand full-time champion Rafael Nadal 6-4, 4-6, 6-4, 6-3 on Monday at the US Open to reach his second Grand Slam quarterfinal. The pumped-up American of Sierra Leonean origin played fearlessly throughout the 3-hour, 31-minute thriller on the Arthur Ashe Stadium to earn his third top-5 win. Tiafoe hammered the ball off both wings and rallied from a breakdown in the fourth set to become the first American man to reach the last 8 in New York since John Isner in 2018, and the youngest to accomplish the feat since Andy Roddick in 2006. Quote, "I'm beyond happy, almost in tears. I can't believe it," unquote, Tiafoe said in his on-court interview. "I played unbelievable tennis today. I don't really know what happened." The 24-year-old had never won a set against Nadal and trailed the Spaniard 0-2 in their ATP head-to-head series prior to this meeting in New York. However, the American struck 49 winners to turn the tables in style, gaining revenge for his quarterfinal defeat at the Australian Open in 2019. Tunisia's Ons Jabeur demolished Caroline Garcia in straight sets to become the first African woman in history to reach the final of the US Open on Thursday. Fifth seed Jabeur dominated Garcia from start to finish of a one-sided semi-final at Arthur Ashe Stadium, winning 6-1, 6-3 in just 1 hour, 6 minutes. Jobie, who also made history as the first African woman to reach the final of Wimbledon in July, will play world number 1 Iga Swiatek or Ion Sabalenka of Belarus in Saturday's final. Quote, "It's feeling amazing," unquote, Jobie said. "After Wimbledon, I have had a lot of pressure on me and I'm really relieved that I can back up my results." Quote, "The hard-court season started a little bit bad, but I'm very happy that I have made it to the finals here," unquote. Jobie's victory extended her career-long domination of Garcia. The 28-year-old Tunisian had beaten Garcia 4 times as a junior in Grand Slam events and twice as a professional in slams before Thursday. Mali's coup leader and the leader of Burkina Faso's military junta met last Saturday in the Malian capital, Bamako, to discuss bilateral cooperation. Colonel Assimi Goïta welcomed visiting Burkinabe leader Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sawadogo Damiba. The visit coincided with the release of 3 Ivorian female soldiers, part of a group of 49 Ivorian military detained in Mali since July. Quote, "Today we have conducted a friendly visit to Mali in the framework of cooperation that exists between Burkina Faso and Mali, and it was also a good time for us, since we are in a period of transition, to come meet the Malian authorities to share and exchange on the challenges which confronts the Malian transition and also on the side of Burkina Faso. We agreed to better examine and reinforce the military partnership that exists between us to overcome the security challenges that confront our populations in the coming days," unquote, said Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sawadogo Damiba, interim president of Burkina Faso. After Mali, the Burkinabe leader travels to Côte d'Ivoire on Monday as tensions grow between the 2 neighboring countries. Zimbabwean novelist Violet Bulawayo is one of the 6 finalists for the Booker Prize, the renowned British literary award. If she wins on October 17th, her animal fable, Glory, could become the 2nd African piece awarded in a row. Indeed, last year, The Promise by South African Damon Gulgat. The favorites for the 2022 edition remain American authors Elizabeth Strout with O. William and Percival Everett, with a poignant novel about racism and police violence, The Trees. British fantasy author Alan Garner, the oldest Booker nominee at age 87, was shortlisted for Trekkie Walker. Other books on the list are Small Things Like These by Ireland's Claire Keegan and 7 Moons of March Almeida. Former British Museum Director Neil MacGregor, who chairs the jury, said many books were inspired by real events. Quote, "Set in different places at different times, they all deal with events that, to some extent, happen everywhere and affect us all," unquote, he said of the shortlist. 3 Nigerian teenagers have developed an app they hope will help tackle climate change. The team has created Earth EXP, which combines information about environmental trends with social networking and games. Users create a city but need to consider how the environment might affect it as it develops. Fortune Sumwadia is one of the developers, and she explained thinking behind the app. Quote, "We decided to get people not so fully stuck up on our app, but stuck up on our app enough to be able to develop a sense of action towards climate change, like developing or thinking of the fact that they can do something to relieve climate change," unquote, she said. So it's basically to use a persuasive strategy to induce a behavioral change in our users, and in turn we get a positive feedback towards climate action. That will be all for this week's weekly Pan-African News Roundup on KBJ. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and press on the notification bell to stay updated always. You can also follow us on all our social media handles. Thank you. It's bye for now.